Men, if you want to have a six pack in your mid 40s, it's imperative that you shift your focus away from the actual six pack and mostly on the inputs, on the effort. You must become the kind of man who loves the things that it takes in order to get the six pack, like cooking, going to the gym, getting good rest, and all the stuff I talk about in all my other videos. If you don't love doing those things, then you're not going to stick to them. However, you can, even if you don't necessarily love those things in the beginning, learn to love them. You absolutely can learn to love them, and here's how. Okay, first, let's pretend that we have two men. One man who's pretty fit, maybe physically closer to this, much closer to the six pack than man number two. Maybe he's already going to the gym, eating healthy a fair bit, and he's like, 10 pounds away from having the six pack. Okay, maybe he's got less than 25% body fat, maybe even 20, but for some reason, he just can never seem to get there. Okay, and then let's take guy number two, maybe someone who's just getting started, who physically is farther away than guy number one, but so he's much heavier, much more, maybe even obese, and maybe he hasn't even started working out. And physically, for him, the six pack might seem like almost impossible or feel like a moonshot. Okay. However, it's quite possible that although man number one is closer physically than man number two is, that man number two is closer mentally and emotionally than man number one. And it's quite possible that man number one, the reason he's never really quite able to crack that next level is because he's not really willing to give up certain things that you need to in order to get there. Okay? Maybe he's not really the man who really, really loves the work, like I'm about to speak about how to change that as well. Okay? And if you don't make that shift, this is a process of changing your self belief. Okay. If you don't make that shift, then you never really will get there. And that's okay. It's not that a six pack is necessary for every man in his mid 40s, but if that's what you want, I am telling you what you need to do in order to get there. Man number two might be closer mentally. He might be ready to give up those extra alcohol and desserts and whatever you need to do and stick with it longer. He might be ready to stick with that plan for the long term than man number one. So, in any case, let me give you a few specific things that are necessary. There are like 4 or 5 things that are going to help you change your mindset and learn to love these things that it takes to get fit and ultimately get the six pack if that's what you want. And let's start there. Is that what you want? We need to ask the question why, okay? Sometimes they say you have to ask the question why 5 times, right? So if you say, I want a six pack, well, why do you want that six pack? Because you see it out there on social media? Okay, that's fine. Well, why does that intrigue you? You really got to go deep here and think about this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to look good and be vain. I'm quite vain. I love the way I look. I always have liked to look in the mirror, and looks are important to me, okay? But you got to have a deeper reason if you really want to have a six pack, because you have to make some trade offs, okay? You're not going to be able to be drinking every weekend and going out for dinner 3-4 times a week and get a six pack. That's highly unlikely. Okay, so you have to love doing the other things. You can have a little bit of alcohol here and there and eat out here and there and have a six pack. I do, okay? But you got to be willing to not do that most of the time, okay? So number one is really get clear on your why. Why do you want this? In my own example, okay, I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be as fit and healthy as I could possibly be, okay? By the way, your why can be more than one reason. I have other reasons why, okay? Why? Because I knew I was once in a very unhealthy place and I never want to go back there. And because I know, that I always want to live up to my highest potential in terms of positivity and vitality. And for my family and for other reasons. So you got to have clarity on these reasons, okay? Second thing that you can do to help shift how you really feel about being fit and ultimately help yourself get the six pack is every day to self-affirm that even if you don't quite believe it 100% yet, when you wake up in the morning and either do a meditation or a visualization or write down a written affirmation statement, I do all 3, okay? And that could be something like, I am the man who has the six pack, right? And you can get pretty detailed with this. I won't make this too long of a speech, but you can write out a very clear vision statement and read that every morning, and write out an affirmation statement every morning and visualize that every morning, okay? And the more that you do that, the more you really will believe it, okay? When you say that to yourself in the morning, then you usually become the guy who does the things that that future version of yourself would want you to do the rest of the day. Okay? And that leads me into the third piece, which is doing the things that the future version of you, the man who already has the six pack, okay, would do even if he didn't feel like it, right? So it's a bit of a matter of discipline, which means doing things even when you don't feel like it. Yes. So discipline is needed for sure. But when you have that clear vision of the future version of you, okay, then you're giving that version of you the gift of, as they say, the work is the gift. The work that you do today in the kitchen and in the gym is the gift that you are giving that version of you, who you are becoming. Okay? And so what I'm saying there in another way is to focus on the inputs. Focus on the effort. That is the gift. It's not the case that you do 10 crunches and then boom, the six pack appears. No one gives you a medal for doing that. That is the medal, is doing the crunches. Okay? It's not just about crunches, by the way. Many other exercises. It's about all the whole package of fitness. Okay? And the last piece I'll say in terms of helping you change your self-belief and learning to love the process is to have in place a system for accountability, for measurement, and for making adjustments. That could be with a coach. Okay, of course, you can always click the link in my bio if you need help with that stuff. It can be done on your own, right? You can hold yourself accountable. Okay, you can take proper measurements and make adjustments to make sure that your program is ascending and progressing toward the result that you want. But you must have a system in place for that. Okay, because saying that you want to have a six pack and then just going to the gym but not really having a solid program that progresses with accountability is not going to get you there. You need some guardrails as well. Okay, so with that, all of that said, if you have those things in place, right, a solid why, a positive visualization that you do regularly, daily, okay, a focus on discipline and the inputs as opposed to the outcome, okay, the journey, not the medal, okay, and then lastly, a system for accountability and adjustments, okay. If you have those things, you'll get the six pack. You'll enjoy the ride along the way, and the six pack will be the side effect that you get as a result.